Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're looking at our favorite video of each and every weekday, that player props video that we will look to stay steaming hot with here as we look at this Thursday night slate with some pretty good matchups to choose from. A lot of offense in some of these games, some pretty high totals, so some good player props in here for us. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com with some player props and best bets in there for you as well. And like and subscribe to that page. You can check out those other couple game videos we have for you, including that marquee matchup with the Suns hosting the Bucks tonight. Break that one down for you with some really good stuff in there. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, and I'm going to start with Giannis, even though we don't think the Bucks and Suns will necessarily get above 236 where that total might close. I do think Giannis is going to get his regardless. I mean, in his last 4 games, 33.5 points, 12.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists with an insane 157 offensive rating. So he's only played 32 minutes per game in those games. They've all been pretty comfortable wins for the Bucks. When he does get more minutes, like he did in his last 4 against these Suns in the finals, played 40 minutes per game. That scoring went up to 37 points per game with 12 rebounds and 5.5 assists. In his last 2 regular season games at Phoenix, 47 points, 32 points. He's shot a freaking 57 free throws in his last 4 against the Suns. They have no answers for him. DeAndre Ayton would like to do a better job, I'm sure, but they, like everybody else, when Giannis comes locked in, they can't stop him. He's been locked in, again, in a lot of high-profile matchups, and really in 8 straight against the Western Conference has at least 29 points. And that's where his prop is here, 29.5 points. Pretty good odds at FanDuel. In those 8 games against the West, he has a 140 offensive rating and a 36% usage rate and averaging 33.5 over 31 minutes per game. Again, if he gets more playing time, that's going to be more usage, more points. And I think the all-around production should be there. I mean, 46.5 PRA, not much higher, but the points are exploitable for sure. And we don't, it is kind of a toss-up game. The Bucks could come into Phoenix and do what other teams can't do and win this game because they are the champs and they have won these high-profile games. So if you want to back Milwaukee, you might as well take a Giannis double-double in a win. It's plus 205 at FanDuel. There's almost no chance he's not getting 10 boards if they win this game. It's just a question of whether you want to juice that money line, which is plus 140 just for Milwaukee to win. If you do think they can win, though, Giannis is going to get that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned what he did in the regular season, 40 points. I mean, in that final series, he was superhuman on 1.5 legs as well against his team. And it really comes down to a matchup problem, which is what was talked about leading into the finals last year, was what Giannis did against the Suns in the previous 2 regular seasons, which was be completely unstoppable, as there's just no one even close to the height and strength and versatility that can even come close to staying in front of him or keeping him from just backing down, getting all the way to the rim. There's not many great matchups out there in the NBA, but none of them exist on the Suns. We are a great defensive team, but still need to play that team defense on a guy that can still knife through you, and getting those 15 free throw attempts a game against this team and hitting them at a rate of about 83%, 13 for 15 from the line on average in those last couple regular season games. So yeah, I love the Giannis over. He's going to get 30 when he's playing in these high profile matchups. You look at his game log, and when it's a big game against a team that he's going to give a shit about, he's dropping 30 on them. So yeah, I would feel good about that one tonight. Another guy in the limelight that we're hoping is going to continue his insanely hot streak, Luka Doncic, and he's taking, he's playing at home tonight, so you got to feel at least good about what he does there. And it's a Clippers team that he's playing that we know he likes playing historically, especially when they get into these playoff matchups like they have the last couple seasons. But even in the last few for the regular season, he's filling up the stat line against them. His points, rebounds, and assists is at 48.5 tonight. That's minus 130 at DK for a super high points, rebounds, assists total, which means, obviously Vegas is feeling a Luka game tonight against the Clips. His last 4 versus the Clippers in the regular season, about 30 points a game, 10.5 boards, 8.5 assists, shooting 46% from the field, 37 from 3. And he's playing, 37 minutes a game. And, it's all about what Luka does. That if you look at the Dallas offense in overall, there's not much to find that really stands out in how they're above average in pretty much any offensive category, whether, you're looking at shooting or where they're scoring from or what have you. But what you do know is Luka's playing at a league high 37.7% usage rate. And, in his last 5 overall as well, he's got about 32 a game, 10 boards, and 11.5 assists, just shelling out the dimes, shooting way better from 3 than he was at the beginning of the season when he was struggling. 3 for 8 from 3-point land on average in his last 5 games. And then you look at a pretty big regression on defense for the Clippers, who started out as a very slow, choppy, good offensive team. But then they lost all their guys, obviously Paul George and company. So their regression on defense in their last 6, they've gone over in 5 of those. They've got the 5th worst defensive rating in that time. They give the 2nd most points in the paint, and a bunch of other places. Fast break points, second chance points, opponents' points off turnovers. Dallas at least does play defense well enough this season to get some of those, although they're not obviously a fast break team. You're just looking at Luka's got the ball in his hands. He gives us a crap about this game, playing a good Clippers team that he's had a really good history against. And he's just on another level right now, back into his MVP level form.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence, actually, his last 6 games, getting 31.3 and 11.7 assists, that Porzingis went down 6 games ago. And in that span, the only time Luka's gone under 30 points was against Atlanta because he had foul trouble and played only 28 minutes. So the more I look at it, the more I actually just love the 28.5 points for Luka, because we talk about, he gets 30, and then what else does he do with the peripheral stats to get you to 48.5 PRA?
Yeah.
The odds are actually better for the points at just 28.5. And I think I would keep that simple. And looking at the Clippers, you mentioned they've unraveled defensively a little bit. They're giving up the 4th most points per game to point guards in their last 7 games, still limiting the peripheral stats a little bit, partially because of just the way they play. So I think Luka scoring is where I would lean first and foremost, and would look at some of those player performance doubles. You get some really good juice if you take him to get 35 in a win, or 40 even, which he's done to this Clippers team. So you can consider it, or a triple double in a win at plus 285. I'm also just taking the points with Kyrie Irving. We break down that one in our other video today, saying Nets Wizards probably going over 218, despite James Harden being ruled out, if not traded, here on the trade deadline today. If he is traded, it will be a nice turning the page moment for these Nets, who have lost 9 straight, who are mired in the malaise of James Harden's general disposition right now. Kyrie Irving, not necessarily the knight in shining armor, but when he plays on the road, their offense ticks way up. He has loved playing against Washington, including this was the last time he played an Eastern Conference team at Washington. 30 points, 13 of 23 field goal shooting, also had 7 assists, and really could add more, but he shot 2 for 8 from 3 against a team that forces you inside the arc and forces you to score in the mid-range. Kyrie has obliged them, scoring 28.5 points with 8 assists in his last 4 against Washington. In the last 2 meetings between these teams in Washington, averaged 266. So, yeah, we like the over, and Kyrie has to be the guy to get you there if you're Brooklyn, because they don't have much else right now. Without Harden, his usage rate goes way up, as you would expect. He's got 27 and 32 points when his usage rate has been above 30 is in the last 2 without Harden. And without KD, his usage rate rises 5%. His points per game go up to 27.7, and the assists per game up as well. It's pretty simple. You just want to take him to try to carry the load here, as the Nets, they've fallen into the play-in tournament, and they really, really need to win, especially within their own conference.
Yeah, I mean, look, all you have to say is, did you write that in the article? Harden's, they are mired in the malaise of his overall disposition. That's really good. I don't know how I would take anything against what you just said after that beautiful poetry. I fully agree. It's Kyrie night. It's Kyrie without anybody, and he's not playing the Jazz like when he dropped 15 a few games ago without Harden or KD in that one. This is the Washington Wizards, who have regressed right back into the defensive bottom feeder that we know them to be the last few seasons. So this is a great moment in time for him to get a pretty low point total. 26.5 points, way too low. Kyrie's going over 30 tonight. He's going to have the ball in his hands, putting it up at like 35%, 40% usage rate. So yeah, you got to feel really good about Kyrie having the ball the entire time tonight and getting his in a game that Brooklyn needs, man. I mean, I hope Kyrie knows that. I think he does. I think he wants to win this game. They cannot lose another one to a bad team like this and really consider themselves a playoff contender. So lastly, I'm looking at Spicy P, Pascal Siakam. Really, this starts with us just trying to target anybody who's playing the Houston Rockets, as they are horrible on defense. Spicy P, we like his points and rebounds tonight. He's been doing that at an incredible clip, getting the boards at an insane rate. In his last 4 road games, specifically 24 points a game, 11.5 boards. That gets you that way over that 31.5 rebounds and points combo. He's playing 45 minutes a game in those last 4 road games. One of those did go in a couple overtimes, but still 45 minutes a game is absurd in a 48-minute basketball game with 118 offensive rating in that time frame. And his usage rate is at about 23%. It's at about 25% or so in the last 5 overall, because there's a ton of guys on this team. They move the ball so well in Toronto, but you see how efficient Pascal has been in his last 5. Yes, 25% usage rate, but those 40 minutes a game also lead the team. So he's going to be on the floor in a game that tonight. I'm hoping that the Raptors really don't necessarily get this one too far away, and we still see Pascal in the fourth quarter. But no matter what, he could get there before the fourth quarter. When you look at Houston's defense, as we mentioned, just dead last in defensive rating on the entire season. In their last 10 games, they're dead last in opponent field goal percentage, opponent points per game, and they allow a ton of rebounds on the season. 6 least amount of rebounds, or they give up the 6th most amount of rebounds to their opponent at home. They give up the 3rd most amount of rebounds in general, wherever they are, but for defense or offense. So yeah, you got to really like Pascal to get his boards tonight. And if he's getting the 24, 25 points that he's been averaging, 6 to 7 boards for him is easy money against a horrible.
Yeah,
Rockets
and he should be
defense.
able to score. The Rockets are giving up 54% field goal shooting in their last 3 games. It's just absurd in the modern NBA here. I like the boards so much. I think they're up recently because Toronto's been playing Scotty Barnes at the 5 more, and he's not going to get boards. He's going to box out. It's the old Steven Adams role, clear out, get Christian Wood out of the paint there, and then Spicy P comes flying in for easy rebounds. I think that will help him get to a double-double tonight. And like you said, as long as this game remains moderately close, he should clear this total because he does play nearly 40-plus minutes per game when the Raptors need him to. He seems to have that stamina.
Yeah, for sure. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. We will look to keep pretty hot here with these player props as we continue on. So until we see you next, happy betting.